Okay, so this story is honestly one of the most insane things in the world. And I'll be honest, to all the people first off saying that, oh, like this guy probably just tells stories and like it's obviously fake, like he's never even touched a girl. Well, for you guys for clicking on this video and actually taking time out of your day to click on this video, here's exclusive footage of me making out with a chick at a party. Yeah, that was me. And, you know, funny enough, I understand that, like, you know, like, I'm maybe not the most attractive, or maybe I'm not the most outstanding. And yes, I over-dramatic a lot of things when I tell these stories. But I'm gonna be realistic here, guys. I was a lady slayer. And you guys can ask anyone that actually knew me back in high school, like, as cringy as it is me saying that out loud, I did do what I did back in high school, and I was one of a kind. But going on from there, let's get straight into this one-of-a-kind story. Yo, what is going on, you guys? My name is Bubba, and welcome back to another crazy story. So, obviously, first thing I want to mention is that this story was back in high school. Back in high school, this was, I think, my grade 10 going on to 11th year, when I was really in the mood to always do the devil's tango. And it got to the point where I was willing to be a homewrecker, which you guys will see in the story how much of a homewrecker I was. But I'm gonna be honest, it was kind of like a two-part play, but we're just gonna try to make the best of this. So I remember back when I was in high school, I remember that I worked at this fast food restaurant. Now, this fast food restaurant was just the average fast food restaurant. Like, think of the most basic fast food restaurant and then put me in it. There you go. That's the gist of it. And I remember I always had like the most basic shifts. Like right after high school, I would go work for 4 hours and then come back home and play video games all night. Funny enough, I would record videos back when I was in high school, which you guys will see in the future videos. But going on though, I remember it was heading for spring break and I wanted to work more because I wanted to make more money so I could buy more video games. That was mostly like the gist with me. If I wasn't going out hanging out with a girl, I'd probably just go home and play video games with my boys. That's mostly the gist of what would always be happening. And I remember one time specifically, I remember it was coming up to spring break and I wanted to change my schedule. So what I decided to do is I went up to my manager. I was like, hey, like, I was wondering, bro, if I could like switch my schedule up. And I'm not gonna lie, my manager wasn't the most attractive guy in the world. Now, you guys are probably saying, why are you telling us about how attractive your manager is? You guys will understand during the story, but just hear me out. This guy was 5 foot, nothing special really, and really nothing going on for his life. Personality was, it was all right. Pretty lazy, if you would ask me. And he was a manager. I don't know how. And he was just the average guy. Okay, I'm gonna just say that much. Now, I'm not saying I'm not the average guy, but like, you guys understand what I mean? Like, actually, okay, you know what? I think you guys understand. If you guys don't, then I'll break it down in another story time. But going on, I remember I went up to my manager. I was like, hey, like, I was wondering if I could change my schedule because I want to work more. And when I said work more, obviously his eyes glue up and he was like, oh yeah, like for sure, man. Like we can get that going for you, man. So that's what we ended up doing. We ended up going to the back room, you know, making sure I got everything written out for me to extend my schedule. And I realized that I was ending up doing graveyard shifts. Now, graveyard shifts aren't the best. I think I've done graveyard shifts before in the previous story about when I did it with my manager back when I worked at a grocery store. But this was before the grocery store. So obviously like this was my first time ever doing graveyard shifts ever. And I remember my manager ended up looking at me saying, oh, you're doing graveyard shifts. That's perfect. You get to meet my girlfriend. And in my head, I'm thinking, your girlfriend works here? And that's kind of weird when your manager's your own like relationship with your manager. I don't know. It's weird. But going on though, he told me about his girlfriend. He said like she's outstanding and stuff. And to be honest, I didn't really put any thought to it because when he first started talking about his girlfriend, I thought it was just going to be some girl that was unattractive, older, and just really out of pocket. Like, you know, just not worth looking at. And I'm like, oh yeah, great. You know, I made a joke of it at first because like I didn't take him seriously. Then a week went by and I remember I went to my first graveyard shift. Now, when I first got there, obviously like no one was there. It was just me because I came up half an hour early, which was really dumb. It's a graveyard shift. Like who's really going to be there that late? But anyways, I got there early and I ended up sitting down. I got in uniform and I sat down on the break room couch. And I remember as I was sitting there, I was waiting for other people to come by and stuff. And I remember there was this one outstanding hot blonde chick. Oh my God. She walked right past through the door. And I was looking at her. I'm like, holy cow. Like she was outstanding. Like I'm not joking when I say this. She had like blonde hair, blue eyes, outstanding, amazing cherries. Like it was like Christmas in July. Like I'm not joking. If someone put that present under the tree, oh my goodness, I would cry as much as I cried for my Xbox 360 back when I was a kid. But going on, I remember I saw that and I was like, holy, like this girl's outstanding. And she sat down beside me. I'm like, hey, like how you doing? Like what's going on? And I told her basically a bit about myself. We were talking it up a little bit. She told me like, oh, like yeah, like I do a lot of graveyard shifts. It's pretty cool here. You'll get used to it. And she's giving me like the rundown, you know, and I was hoping like, you know, she would basically train me in a sense because I was like, you know, it's my first time doing graveyard shifts. Woohoo. But then she told me, you don't need training. It's the same as the daytime. It's just night. It doesn't matter. It's just not as busy. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's great. Yeah, you know, kind of awkward. I'm not gonna lie, but you know, going on. And I remember I'm like, oh, like, can I like get your snap? Like, you know, like I was wondering if I can like get your Snapchat just in case, you know, any work reason and stuff. And then she's like, yeah, I mean, you can get my snap and I can also give you my number if that helps too. Cause you know, it's more direct. respect, if you know what I mean. And I'm like, oh yeah, that too. Yeah, for sure. I don't know. I was being really awkward. I remember myself being really awkward, kind of just being, well, like I said, like 100 times already, awkward. But then after that, I remember my manager walked into the room, and when my manager walked into the room, I remember seeing this girl stand up and running to his arms and literally kissing my manager. What? Are you joking? He was serious about this girl being a 10 out of 10? Like, I was shocked, okay? Like, I was like, whoa, there's no way my manager that's 5 foot, has really nothing going for him, and is a manager of a fast food restaurant, ended up getting a 10 out of 10 girl, blonde hair, blue eyes, and amazing cherries. Like, what? Like, what? Did the world just break on me? Like, I was so confused. And I remember my manager was like looking at me like, yeah, like, this is my girl. Like, look at that. And I remember I looked at him like, okay, I see how it is. Okay. I don't know why. I envied it. This girl was so attractive. I was like, holy. But anyways, I remember my manager wasn't really around when me and her started working together. We worked a lot together, and honestly, she was outstanding, and I got to know her more. And to be honest, she had a lot going for her than my manager, to be honest. I don't know. It still made me question a lot of things. But going on, I remember I asked her like basically about like, you know, how you guys got together and stuff like that. And she told me, oh, like, well, I saw him here and he was always so sweet to me and let me do whatever I want. And he was really flexible with my schedule. And I ended up just falling in love with him. What? You're telling me all it takes is to change your schedule a bit and you got the girl? Like, damn, I should own a business. Anyways, I was just really confused and stuff. And I remember, you know, I basically like, you know, talked to her about me and stuff, talked about me playing video games. She had an interest in video games as well. We talked about cars. We talked about many things together. To be honest, like even after our shifts, when it was like 6 a.m. and we went home, I remember like I drove her home one time because my manager doesn't drive. And I drove her home and I was like, you know, just talking to her and stuff like that. She was very interested in my silica for some reason. If you guys don't know, I had a 2001 silica. She loved it. And I remember she thanked me for the ride. And when she exited my vehicle, I'm not joking when I say this, she literally turned her head around and winked at me. Now, this is when I knew there is no way I'm not going to get with this girl. So I remember I went home and, you know, me and her started snapping back and forth. And I kind of talked her up and stuff and said, oh, like, I mean, you're cute and stuff like that. Like, I flirted with her. Like, I flirted, ladies and gentlemen. I literally flirted with her. And I knew she was with my manager, which was kind of mean of me to do morally. But honestly, at this point in time, I didn't care. She was hot. Okay. She was hot. And after that, I want to say the next shift we had together, like the day after, I ended up like seeing her at work and stuff like that. And my manager wasn't there. For some reason, my manager wasn't working at that day. And we were confused because we had no manager. It was just me, her, and like one other guy in the kitchen. And I remember me and her, we basically had like the whole place to ourselves. We were just working, hanging out, doing our own thing. And then I remember we both decided to take a break together. We went to the back. We ended up taking a break. We sat on the couch and I literally remember we kind of like got close and we were talking about, you know, just something personal I think that happened to her life. And then we ended up making out. We made out in the back of the fast food restaurant. It was so funny. I remember I was kind of laughing in my head. I'm like, oh my goodness, dude, there's no way this is happening right now. And I remember after our shift ended, I ended up driving her home. And yes, we did end up doing the devil's tango. And yes, I was fully aware that she was dating someone. And, you know, long story short, I'm gonna be honest, when she was telling me that personal thing, it was mostly that personal thing that was saying like how she wasn't interested in him anymore. And I kind of got the slide in there. I don't know. I thought it was my cue to basically dive in there. But going on though, we ended up doing the devil's tango. And, you know, I thought everything was okay. The next day happened. Me and her still flirt with each other and stuff, except my manager showed up that day. And I remember he looked at me pissed. And I was questioning, like, why would he be pissed off? Like, what's going on here? I remember he called me to the back room into his office. We went inside the office. He looked at me and he said to me, and I'm not joking when I say this, he literally said, why'd you do it, man? Like, why'd you do it? And I look at him like, what do you mean? Did what? And he pulls up security cameras. He pulled up a literal video recording of me making out with his girlfriend in the back room. And he looks at me. He's like, you did this? Are you serious? Like, what do you think you are? Like, literally making out with my girl. And I look at the security camera footage and I'm like, dude, she pulled on to me first. That's one thing I first realized. And then after that, he started yelling at me more and more. And I remember, like, as he was yelling at me, like, I was just kind of just sitting there like, holy cow, like, that footage looks really good of me making out with this girl. Like, damn. Kind of rude of me to think, but honestly, what happens, right? You can't argue with it. And I remember he said, like, since this is like a personal thing, I'm gonna deal with you later. I was kind of confused on what he meant by that. But then after that, after a while, I want to say our shift ended and his girlfriend was so confused on what was going on. Like, she kept asking me throughout the day, like, why was he yelling at you? Why was he yelling at you? What happened? Are you serious? Like, what's going on? And I'm like, don't worry about it. Anyways, the shift ended for all three of us. We went to the back room and we all started talking. What ended up happening is basically they broke up in front of me. And yeah, the girl kind of got pissed at me because she didn't expect there to be a camera in the break room. And yeah, that's basically the gist of it. Honestly, to this day, I remember that, like, I want to say like 2 weeks later, I got like, not let go, but I didn't have a good reputation there. And the girl I worked with, well, I wasn't allowed to work graveyard shifts with her anymore. Yeah, kind of awkward. I mean, me and her didn't talk as much anymore because she was really like, you know, she felt ashamed shamed, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, other than that, that's basically it. Anyways, guys, make sure you guys leave a like and subscribe if you guys haven't already. This was one of the most embarrassing stories, and honestly, over time, I will be showing proof of these stories being real, like I did in this video, me proving that I do actually know how to make out with a chick, I guess. But going on though, thank you guys so much. Like I always say, leave a like, subscribe, and I'll see you dudes in next video. Peace out, guys.